Hey, I'm Danny Loong. Welcome to our first edition of Get Real Man. And I'm really excited to be with my partner over here, Jason. Say hi, bruh.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
And this is our very, very first show. So today we just wanted to share a little bit more about us. And also, so of course, why are we doing this? I'm very excited to do the show. But maybe Jason, why don't you start off?
Okay.
What do you do? Who is Jason?
Yes, let's go with that. I think because Danny, you don't need any introduction. Like
No
80%, 80% of people know who you do, who are you, what are the things you've done, right? But okay, like thank you for the honor, right?
By the way, I saw myself in the mirror today. I said, "Who are you?"
Who are you?
So don't worry, I'm curious too.
Existential crisis. Okay. So, yes, thank you for having me on this show. Introduce myself, right? Oh, I shy suddenly. So, hi everybody, my name is Jason. This is an important question. Who am I, right?
I mean. Okay, maybe I'll just ask. What do you do?
What I do, yeah.
And of course, we all know,
Yes.
what the book that you've written.
Yes.
So maybe a bit of what you do.
Okay. So currently, I am actually with a tech association called SG Tech. Long and short of it is like I organize events for my members. A lot of the tech tauke like bosses, right? That's essentially in like one sentence. And on the side, what I do is I'm a speaker, keynote speaker, and I'm also a life coach. Life coach for men that I just recently launched only. It's called unmasked coaching, because I see like a lot of men are wearing masks, right? Like myself, like previously I wore a lot of masks and just trying to hide behind the mask of this real man, this very masculine thing. But are you truly real if you're hiding behind a mask, right? Or trying to portray yourself to be this person when you're actually really not. Yeah, but that's really, I'm also author, as you mentioned, wrote a book about my life. It's called If You Only Live Twice. So the long or short of my story is you can go to jasonyolt.com. The link's in the description below. But yeah, I basically got into a accident in Cambodia in 2014, and I was pronounced dead. Not on the scene, but like my friend asked the doctor my medical records. The doctor said sure. So I pressed enter, the computer screen said Jason Lim, death certificate. Yeah, so basically I got a second chance in life, and like this is like my 9th year anniversary just passed recently.
Okay.
And got really privileged, and which is why I really wanted to be here and like make the most of my second chance in my life. So yes, Danny, over to you.
I absolutely love that, because I take things for granted. I think about people, whether it's people for granted or life for granted.
Yeah.
And then, when you almost want to lose your life, then you think, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But I hope nobody has to have to go through what you went through, even though I find it deeply, deeply inspiring. How do I start? I'm a musician. I started as a full-time musician, believe it or not. I was actually in Perth, and I was studying. After I studied, I still remembered calling my dad. I said, I've started a band. It's a rock and roll band, blues band, with a couple of guys. I don't know whether she fell off the chair, but my late dad, said, what do you mean? You graduated? So, Singaporean, graduate already, come back and work.
Yeah.
But no, I said, no, I think I found my calling. And I started the band, released the album, called U Blues. My band is called Universal Blues Band, and basically toured Australia, and then that was sort of the beginning of the inspiration for Timbre. I came back to Singapore with the band. Actually, I moved all the band back to Singapore, and then we did more tours overseas. Long and short of it, after that, I said, okay, now it's time to have a home for our musicians, because I've been through that. Years of just struggle. I thought, okay, let's just do it. And we started 2005 with Timbre at the substation, and then years after now, we're still around. Timbre Group, we have hawker centres, Timbre Plus One North, which you celebrated your 9th. Was it 9th or 10th?
9th rebirth.
Right, 9th rebirth. Yeah. He's not 9 years old. 9 rebirth. And of course, we have others like hawker centers, and we have a restaurant. But I live my life with a passion for music, and now for food.
Yeah.
And very blessed, very blessed. I'm recently a new father.
Wow.
So my kid is 15 months.
Yep.
Don't be deceived by my looks. I'm a lot older than Jason. I'm in my 50s, just early 50s. So, answer your question about this. I mean, it really is this show. Really, I'm excited because I get to also perhaps help represent people of my age. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But
Okay.
maybe I'll ask you another question.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this, brother? What's the inspiration?
So I think I hinted a bit about that already previously. Right? I mentioned how I'm a men's coach, and then I'm talking about masks, right? Because for a very, very long time I had struggled with my masculinity. Yeah. Even though yes, I have the man beard, got the.
I can never do the beard, by the way. If I do a beard, I have one hair coming out.
I know. I'm very blessed, lah. Well, for those who don't know, like my mom is actually from Brunei.
Oh, okay.
Right. So my dad's Singaporean, so I'm Singaporean. My mom's from Brunei. So I like to say this from the jungle, it's like the tribal people, like a beard. So I'm privileged that way. So I'm very happy, very glad I have this thing. But that's the outward and the externals, right? But for many people who don't actually know, I struggle with my masculinity because inwardly I always knew that I was a lot more sensitive than most of my guy friends. Very emotional person. I think a lot of my friends, I went to OCS also lah. Like for those non-Singaporeans, OCS is Officer Cadet School in Army, right? So it's like the cream of the crop, right? In terms of the national service and Army. Even though I went there and I compare myself I look at other guys, all my very rough, very guy friends, and they're typically not very emotional, typically very like straightforward and very like strong leaders in that sense, right? They're very domineering, very like very leader, very alpha male. Yeah, I think that's the keyword, like very alpha. I never identified as an alpha, like. I think I could try to emulate that and try to do things and like command, tell people what to do, that kind of thing. But because I'm so sensitive as a person, I'm a lot more empathetic in that sense. So I prefer like leading a team through camaraderie, through teamwork, through friendship, through trust, rather than like directing people what to do, telling people what to do, kind of thing. So long and short of it is I never identified as an alpha. And because of that, I struggled with my masculinity. Like, am I man enough? Am I a good man? So, growing up, I struggled a lot with that. And so, I did a lot of work on myself also. So, I was very fortunate to get coaching training. So, that whole, like, questioning myself and exploring my own insecurities. So doing that work, doing the men's work for myself, I have come to a place of acceptance. And I started this podcast. I wanted to be part of this podcast because I want to like encourage other people, other young men or even older men, maybe men my age especially, to tell them they're not alone, and that there's a way that we can learn to love ourselves, and there is a strength for us. Yeah. What about you, Danny? Like, why are you starting this podcast with us?
I mean, what you just said has resonated with me. I mean, a lot of it also, like, I think we talked in the past about how podcasts, or men's podcasts, maybe you can elaborate later, but, it's more Western.
Yeah.
It's more angled towards the Western society.
Yeah.
But we're not from the Western society. We may be a bit Westernized, or some of us more Westernized, but we live in an Asian society.
Yeah.
A very different value system.
Yeah.
How we treat our family, how we treat our parents, very different.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think we need to talk about the relationship we have with our fathers. If I'm a father now, through a 15-month-old boy, what kind of father I want to be, right? I think not being able to communicate is a problem. and in Asian societies, being secretive, not to say things, not to embarrass ourselves, not to be vulnerable, and then try to be strong, try to act strong. That's harmful because there's always a breaking point.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've seen enough 50, 60-year-old men. As they grow older, they get more lonely. They don't take care of their health. They go drink a lot and things like that. So I think that's the concern I have, and I think maybe to be able to represent them and also maybe talk about these things so that they know, men know that they can actually seek help. And they can actually be vulnerable about this. I mean, to show their vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I think that hopefully we set that precedent, and be a voice for them.
Yeah.
So that's why we're starting this, and I think we will talk to psychologists along the way.
Yeah.
We will invite some of them to talk about what issues men face, and I think the long form of it really is the long game, should I say, is really to just engage with the audience too.
Yeah.
So if you guys have anything that you want to talk about, please put it in the comment section. Please subscribe to our channel. At the end of the day, this show is not just about me and Jason.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is a show that hopefully gives a voice to the many people out there that may feel that they have no voice.
Yeah.
And if we can help you answer some questions or maybe seek some help, then that's a good thing. It creates a bit of a mindset shift.
Yeah.
That men don't have to all act so tough and hey, no problem, man. Be a man.
Yeah.
Be a man. You deal with it.
Yeah.
You don't, because we are humans too.
Yeah.
We are someone's son.
Yeah.
We're someone's brother, sisters. We have sisters out there looking at our brothers and say, hey, tell me your problems. So in a nutshell, I think I just hope that this is a show that can inspire other people to come out and talk and express.
To talk about the difficult things, right? The things that especially in the Asian context, like we were just mentioning, right? Like, it's so shameful to talk about. Like the word shame is so prevalent in Asian society because you're so conservative, right? So it's like, hey, don't talk, like, keep it quiet, kind of thing. I have conservative parents. I have very conservative dad. Love him to death, but not the best role modeling for myself. I suffered so much as growing up, right? Like thinking like, okay, this who I am is not manly, means it's not right. It's something I should hide, and not something I should talk about. And so it wasn't very healthy for me, like, emotionally. But thankfully, because of like the education that I got, right, the coaching, everything, like I think I'm very privileged, and I think I want to give back in that sense. Yeah,
that's excellent. So we'll be doing a lot of topics like sexuality, masculinity, and whether it's toxic or not, and relationships. I think at the end of the day, it's about relationships. If you think about it.
Yes.
Because if you don't have a trust platform, when you don't have a safe space, and if you don't have self-awareness, that's another one. There's no way you can. I mean, if you decide, okay, I'm going to be more self-aware, I'm going to be more sensitive to the next person, then I think that's a good start. And that's where we are, me and Jason, I think, is saying, hey, we want to be able to share our own experiences with you. And we would like to hear from you if there's anything that you want to talk about. So this first episode is really more introduction. After this, we're going to be looking at some videos. We actually went out there. We were so determined to find out more. We went out and interviewed people on the streets. Some of them we know, some of them we don't. But basically to get to know more about what people would expect from a podcast like Get Real Men, about men. And about the topics that affect men, right? And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more. But I mean, maybe Jason, you have anything you want to add?
To everything else, not really. But I'm really excited to. I mean, I've seen the videos already, and I'm very excited to start commenting also, and like really how it strikes such a big chord in myself, and why we need this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were really excited because when we spoke to people, they got it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about men. I'm talking about women too.
Yeah.
We interviewed a few women, and they said, "Wow, this is really important."
Yeah.
And so let's look at the videos,
Okay.
and then let's make some when we give some feedback.
Yeah.
And again, we would love to hear from you. So if you have any feedback about the videos, please do put it in the comment section. And plus the fact that you can actually just express yourself, maybe suggest what we can talk about. We'll actually look at every comment and try to respond to you. All right, let's look at the first video.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
I think that one of the struggles men are facing these days is the inability to actually speak up. I think that we are in an environment where men need to put up a front. We need to be strong. We need to know how. We need to be able to take whatever life throws at us. And I see oftentimes the people around me, especially men, they are the most
So
vulnerable.
yeah, that's really that guy really hit a chord on me. What do you think? What is it?
I think he speaks for all all Asian men, right? Like how we need to put our front, but because we put out that front, we are the most vulnerable inside, right? Because we cannot share what we're struggling with, like we think we have to do it alone. We are the most vulnerable one. I think we are more vulnerable than women in a general stereotype, but because of this, a lot of men are struggling out there.
Yeah, I think we have to change the mindset
Yeah.
that how do I put it? Don't tell anyone, we fix it. Because sometimes you need help.
Yeah.
Right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with men saying I need help.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's ego. It's what, if you say I need help, it's like, bro, this one really you need help.
Yeah.
Sometimes men do that to other men too, right?
Yeah.
And I think, and of course women sometimes, if they are,
Yeah.
let's just say, a little bit toxic,
Yeah.
they say, I also want to complain.
Yeah.
And I think we have to stop that because it's not kind.
Yeah.
It's not kind to say that.
Mm.
And then the person shuts out. You've seen it so many times. Let's not even talk about it. If I talk about it, people say I'm not a man. If I don't talk about it, I hurt. So I think we need to, change that mindset. I think that guy, really spot on. Let's look at the next video.
Yeah.
Vulnerable one.
Especially my father, who is supposed to be my role model. My father was most of the time out working, trying to put food on the table. That absence, emptiness, led a lot of men to figure out what it means to be a man. There was no father figure, okay, a role model to help me, guide me, and to counsel
That one
me.
really is about father and son, right?
Yeah.
Jason?
That struck a small chord. No, I mean I love you, Dad.
Yeah.
And I really respect my dad for a lot of many things. He's a hardworking man, really faithful to my mom. He's always very hardworking. After work, then come straight home, kind of thing. Which is I have so much respect for him. And he's a butler, right? But in terms of like EQ wise, how is this okay to shame my dad on live air, right? But I don't think he really demonstrated what healthy emotional response is like. He didn't show me. He didn't role model that for me, and I wish he did lah. But I mean, with what he had, he did his best, and I'm very grateful for that. But I think what we want to do here in this podcast is like for the men who don't know how to be a good role model for their son, and maybe even for the sons, right? Like myself, your dad may not have a good role model himself. He didn't know where to find like good role modeling, right? So I hope this podcast will be able to shed some light on that.
Hey, it's not shaming your dad, man, because you started by saying that he did his best,
Did his
and
best, yeah.
and I mean nobody's perfect in this world,
Yeah.
and I think thank you so much for sharing, right? And I think father and sons, especially the generation that my father came from,
Yeah.
is they don't even, it's very dry, almost very dry.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, you have a problem, you tell me, okay, I'll try to fix it.
Yeah.
But the emotional part of it is maybe very much an Asian thing,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of them, unfortunately, if I could be honest, I say them, I
Yeah.
hope I'm not disrespecting them, but I will say this: they are survivors. So to them, last time can't even find rice to eat.
Yeah.
They have to deal with that.
Correct.
Then when you tell them, oh, I got this problem, they say, what?
Yeah.
I don't even have clothes to wear. My mother and father have to, So that is changing. I think the next generation, with kids who are able to share, and I really highly encourage that happens when they can share with their family
Yeah.
and parents the vulnerability and the problems.
I think it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We talk about the basic needs is like survival,
Correct.
right? So their job is to provide the basic level. And now that we have all these basic levels settled, then we demand more lah.
Correct.
Right? This generation, we are so lucky. We're so blessed to not need to meet the basic needs.
Yeah.
Especially for us in Singapore, right?
Yeah, but it's a cycle lah. The next generation, maybe they will hit some hard times too.
Yeah.
You never know, but so I think more important is communication
Yeah.
and just having a safe space.
Yeah.
Not to, sometimes we are a bit reactive.
Yeah.
And I think we're all guilty of it.
Yeah,
They say
correct.
something, you say, oh man, really?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I think we got to kind of stop and really listen to each other.
Yeah.
So I hope more fathers and sons are that. My dad's passed away. One thing I do regret is I never told him, we don't have that practice to say, Dad, I love you.
Yeah.
It's so difficult for Asian because okay. They show love by providing food,
Yeah.
providing shelter.
Yeah.
You're not cold. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that we should be too emotional, but
Yeah.
it's a balance lah.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with appreciating your parents.
Yeah.
And I've started to do that also with my mom. I really tell her it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's like that. Do I have to say these things lah?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Chinese. I mean almost like you don't have to say, just do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's okay to say.
Absolutely.
Right? It's okay to tell them, express your appreciation for them. Okay, next.
Observe my dad and my brother. They don't talk about their feelings a lot. Usually, their answers are more factual, and when we try and probe more, it's always just sweeping statements. Just try and touch and go. Kind of used to the idea that men, they just don't.
Wow. So I think this lady, when we talked to her, she was telling me that she has relating to her dad and the brother.
Yeah.
And I think she's coming from very personal experience because it's they don't express their vulnerability I guess but I guess there must be a way to break that what you call that, break that barrier
Yeah.
Perhaps this show can help a little bit, but perhaps also more people can say to their brothers and to their fathers,
Yeah.
are you okay?
Yeah.
Something bothering you,
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more active participation.
Proactiveness lah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think there's a mindset that we need to shift a little bit, right? This whole idea about vulnerability. I think for most guys, and perhaps even more, especially so in the Asian culture, vulnerability equals weakness, right? People think that if you're vulnerable means you're weak. Why you share this thing? You like, if people look down on you kind of thing, like, because there's this story that we've been telling ourselves about our parents. Their parents tell our parents tell us, right, that don't be vulnerable. Don't look vulnerable because vulnerability is weakness.
People take advantage of you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I hear that all the time sometimes.
And I think the reverse is true. Right? I mean, Brene Brown also herself says, right, like, to become vulnerable, it takes so much courage. So how can vulnerability be weakness if it takes so much courage? And courage, of course, is strength, right? You need so much strength to be able to put yourself out there. But don't be vulnerable recklessly also lah. Like I think Brené Brown talks about be vulnerable with those who have earned your trust. So practice discernment, practice wisdom also. Don't just anyhow share with the whole world, right? Like be careful with who you share for also. But it's the act of being vulnerable is not weakness. I think the rephrasing and the reframing we need to do is like vulnerability is strength. Yeah.
Well put, man, brother. Okay, well, the last video.
Pressure on men. Men are always told to man up, or be a man. I think these terms are a lot of expectations on men.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, man up, be a man.
Yeah.
And I think we have to stop doing that, really. Maybe be human for a change. Just be human. And that means to say I have empathy too, right? Because, being an alpha male or whatever you want to call it, it shows that, hey, nothing, man. But then the other person is also like, oh, I cannot tell this person my problem.
Correct.
Because if I tell this person my problem, that kind of thing. So I think what she says is quite true, right? I mean, from a female perspective too.
I think it has caused a lot of damage. Yeah, exactly what you said, right? Because like, if you're like sad or what, people are like, man up lah, and then that definitely is inappropriate. Right? Because men are humans as well. Like men should be allowed to feel down, to feel scared. Right? Man up. Is like,
and share also, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, also I will add to it also and say like not that men shouldn't man up. In fact, I feel like men should be called to a higher standard. You should man up. You know what I mean? You should show a higher standard of like responsibility. Show higher standard of take ownership of your feelings, take ownership of these things. So maybe the term man up should mean different, calling men to a higher standard, or like you said, I believe in you, that's why you should man up, but not in a unhealthy way. You know what I mean? So maybe we can discuss what man up should mean. We should call men to a higher standard, but what should that look like? What can that look like?
Excellent, brother. Excellent. Well, last.
Lack of sharing. I think that's an issue. Even myself, right? I'm trying my best to share more about my feelings and be more vulnerable.
Yeah, I think it's really excellent to hear that. I think, like I said, 1% at a time.
Yeah.
Change the mindsets 1% at a time. Be a good example of being able to recognize, what we fear, what is our issues, and be able to just share. Of course, not irresponsibly.
Yeah.
Because some people share only their problems. And like, wow, it's really overwhelming. But I think a balanced approach. Right?
Yeah.
So it's very good that the gentleman over here, has expressed that. I think it's good to see men able to say, hey, I want to be able to share.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I'm encouraged that this movement is starting. Right? There's a lot of this is happening in the West, which is great, right? But coming back to this podcast, I think we want to see a lot more Asian men talking about it. We want to see like positive images.
So I think I hope you guys got to know us a little bit better today with this, and the next two questions we have, we're gonna go. We have actually asked people in the street too. Is why do men actually not seek help? From, say, for example, counselors, psychologists, or even coaching. Why do they not? Maybe what's preventing them from doing that? So we will address that question. We will have our specialist psychologist come in also. We have a chat with him about the work is done with men in the psychology spectrum, and then of course the last question I think we would like to hear from you also is what is topics that you want us to talk about. This shows about what you want to talk about too, right? And then you can help us actually shape the conversation by getting involved. All our social media handles are below. Slashie.tv. You can check out Slashie also on Apple. Slashie.
Slashie.sg.
Oh, Slashie.sg. Thank you, sir. It's SLASHIE dot SG. And it's all down below. And just keep in touch with us and put in the comment section. And I think the next show when we have, we will be talking really about why men don't, approach for help. And maybe debunk some of this, hindrances and barriers, and maybe open up some of their eyes and more importantly hearts. Right, to say, hey, maybe I should talk to someone, and you can contact us. We can refer some people. I don't know. We'll find a way to connect you. Jason, any last few words?
I think like what we framed this first episode is like we talk about the difficult things that we don't want to talk about. So beyond like toxic masculinity and like we also want to talk about different things also, right? Then you wanted to mention like toxic femininity, right? Did I say it right? Femininity.
You just sent a shiver down my spine.
And I think because like toxic femininity, like it has had its impact on us also, and like I think men we're emasculated. Like we don't want to talk about these kind of things, and we have become victim. A lot of men are becoming victims, right? So becoming a victim is not toxic masculinity anymore. It's beyond, and like we want to talk about these difficult issues. So
Sure.
What else do you want to talk about?
I mean, there's also the definition of fatherhood.
Oh wow!
There's so many things. I mean, the definition of fatherhood is changing. It's changing. Not just because I had just had a kid. Well, there's certainly changed for me, but I want to be able to be. I want. I think every generation, right? You always say, you hear the uncle that says, you always have to be better. You always do better. Then we should do better, right?
We should.
If we say that we want to do better, but do better in what? I think for me, the definition of fatherhood is changing, and it has to change. How a father works with the EQ part, the emotional connection, and has to change. And I intend to do that myself, because I don't want anytime got emotional thing go to the mother, then I'm not involved. I don't want that to happen. And maybe because I'm 50, 51, I realize that I don't have a lot of time also with him. That it makes me feel what's important. You know what I'm trying to say? It's a bit like your story, like, you had a second chance. For me, I have a first chance, but I have a first chance when I'm 50 years old. With a beautiful boy. I'm very blessed. So what kind of a father do I want to be? And hopefully, I can give a bit of insight, and I want to talk to other people too. I want to, get them to share. So there's so many topics here, but it's really with your help that we can build a community that can be change the mindset. So we really appreciate Jason and I, if you could subscribe to the channel, share. Please, all the information down there. Really, we're doing this because it's a passion project. We're not here to lecture anyone. We're not here to, say I feel that I'm right, you're wrong. No. It's really a discussion, and it's a healthy discussion. So please connect with us through Instagram, through the YouTube channel, and through our Facebook page. And we are doing this once a month. We intend to launch it on the last Monday of every month, and we will obviously release some videos before that. And again, if you want to talk about a topic, please indicate in the comment section. We will have a look at it. But much thanks to you for joining us today for our very, very first edition. We are a little bit nervous, as you can tell, but we want to make this. This podcast work.
This is real, right?
It's as real as you can get. So good night, and thank you very much.
Ciao.